What is up? Welcome to the AI for Agents class number 1, getting started with ChatGPT. So I thought I had everything all set up, ready to go, ready to roll it out, make it look awesome. And then the countdown video didn't work, so I got to improvise. So hopefully there wasn't too much flashing lights in front of you when we started there. Appreciate you being on. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know you're here. It will ask you for your name so that we can see who we're talking to. And I would love to address you when you ask your questions by name. So feel free to drop a comment in there. It looks like there's about 8 of us on right now, which is awesome. It's about half the people that signed up. So that's a pretty good attendance rate. I appreciate you being there. There's my buddy Brandon. Appreciate you, buddy. Glad we were able to hang out this week, and glad you're able to make it on. So I want to kind of get things rolling here with a little bit of just an introduction and kind of tell you how, there's Amanda, want to tell you how ChatGPT works, how you're using it like a toddler, because I know I was before I started learning this stuff, and just how we can use it to be more successful, more efficient, and kind of take some stuff off our plate. And I know a lot of times we look at learning new things as adding, right? And really, if utilized correctly, ChatGPT can be your 24/7 assistant that actually takes things off of your plate instead of adding to your plate. So I will let you know that it is heavy up front. It's a little bit more work up on the front side so that we can get this stuff set up. But the amount of time that it will save you on the back end, hey, Nicole, it will allow us to save a ton of time forever. So once you get it set up once, you basically have it set up forever and never really have to make any changes to it. So obviously this stuff is kind of advancing and forwarding all the time, but we're not really trying to learn AI. We're trying to learn how to use it to get time back, win more listings or buyers, and be able to sharpen your brand efficiently, effectively, and able to, work through some of the stuff. So I'm going to jump in and we'll just kind of go through some slides here to start with and be able to talk more about how ChatGPT works. So AI for agents. So the creative edge. We've got time, which all of these are spelled wrong, apparently. Good. I may have downloaded the incorrect one, but we're going to roll with it. Time, money, and influence. So these are the 3 things that we want to focus on, right? We want to, be able to allow ourselves more time and kind of balance out this triangle instead of spending all of our time. Okay. So really the paid tiers of ChatGPT is what we're going to be kind of working with here. We want to make sure that we are allowing ourselves the most ability for it. So if you are using the free ChatGPT, it's going to be tough to be able to maximize the outputs here because of what we're going to be doing. So in the free version, we've got a small memory. In the plus version, we've got about 4 times the memory than the free version. And then the pro version actually allows you even more memory, right? So it's really about 8,000 words in a chat in the free version. In the plus version, I believe it's about 24 to 32,000 words. And then in the pro version, which is the really like full scaled out model, it gives you about 96,000 words. So that's going to be tough to max out. Plus, depending on what you're using, you may be able to max it out at 24,000. I haven't done it yet, or at least I haven't thought about it. But what you'll recognize, and maybe you've had this experience, is where you're typing something in, and you get to a point of getting to the ins and outs of a chat and being able to. You're getting in there. You're like, oh, I want this to create a blog post. Well, blog posts generally are 2,000 words roughly. So you're getting in there and you're creating this blog post, and 2,000 words is a quarter of the free memory. And so you're typing in what you want it. You want it to make some adjustments. Then it rewrites it. Well, now you're at over half your memory just in the output, and then the memory starts to slip. And so what you told it up front kind of falls through, and you start getting slippage, and that's where you start getting that AI slop output. And that's what we're trying to build up front, so we don't have to have that AI slop output. So it allows more room, fewer reprompts for you. So if you've ever noticed going through a chat, you're going to notice those outputs start to drift. Generally, that's what you're seeing there. So we want to talk about short-term memory versus long-term memory. So really, short-term memory and long-term memory. Short-term memory is kind of this chat only. So it's only going to access what you tell it inside the chat. Long-term memory are kind of saved across your account, and so you don't even know this. If you're really new to ChatGPT, you've probably got a bunch of junk in your long-term memory. And so really what we talk about up front is kind of zeroing that out, making sure that we have a blank slate for what we're about to work on, because then you don't have the slippage and the overwork and that kind of stuff. Now, ChatGPT also allows you to have prompts or projects, which is where you can organize some of those chats that we're about to build so that you can call on them in future chats. So the long-term memory, I would highly recommend kind of getting into your account and kind of erasing everything. And I used the example this week. Let's say you're talking to ChatGPT, and in one post or in one chat, you want it to be a marketing expert, and then in the next chat, you want it to be a car salesman. Those two chats can overlap, and then you've got slippage into other chats that you're creating, which creates chaos inside ChatGPT, and that's why you're getting a lot of that slop output that you're seeing. So really, we want to kind of show the personalization and settings up front here. So let me get my ChatGPT up and be able to show you a little bit about what I'm talking about inside the app itself. So give me 1 second to get that shared. All right. So this is my ChatGPT. Obviously, I've got a ton of chats in here, and I've got a bunch of stuff built out, and I've got a bunch of GPTs. So we're going to minimize those for now so we don't get distracted. I'm going to minimize the project so we don't get distracted, and even the chats. So if you go down to the bottom here, I've got the business plus account is what the account we're working on here. So if you go in here, you've got your settings, and yours may look a little different depending on which model you've got here. So if we go into settings, we can see that they've got a bunch of different stuff in here that you can personalize and that kind of stuff. So personalization, I've actually just turned off enable customization because I don't really care how ChatGPT responds to me. I'm going to tell it the outputs that it's going to give me over and over again by utilizing what we're about to teach you this week. So I just turn that off, because if you turn it on, it gives you, a bunch of different things, and it asks you how you want it to respond. And it's not all that valuable. So that'll lock up this ChatGPT personality thing. So custom instructions, like all of this stuff kind of on personalization is just extra stuff that, you're going to tell it within the chats we're going to create. So you don't really need to double it up. So then it goes down to memory. So we want to reference to save memories for sure. And when I talked about wiping out your long-term memory, if we go into manage, it's going to pull up a bunch of stuff that, like I said, I doubt you probably even know is in there. And so that's where we want to kind of eliminate that, because it's going to be using that in what we're talking about. So we're going to create all new memories for ChatGPT. So record mode, reference record history, that one you can leave on or turned off, but it does allow all previous recording transcripts and notes when responding. So, within the chats that we're going to create, the RAG that we're going to create throughout this, we're going to be able to minimize that so it doesn't reference those individually. But this is a positive for building out your memory that way. And then advanced, you can turn all of those things on or off. It doesn't really matter. So as you can see throughout here, general, obviously you've just got your general settings here. I like dark mode. So I just always keep it on dark mode. You can change colors and language and all of that stuff. Notifications, none of these really matter. Unless you're working on something that's scheduled out, which is in the advanced section of this class. When we get through these 5, there'll be an actual setting where we can start talking about using agentic AI and using ChatGPT to schedule things. As you'll see here, you're able to build out some schedulers and stuff. Apps and connectors, you're going to be able to connect apps directly to ChatGPT, and so you can reference files and stuff like that are outside of the system or you haven't uploaded directly into ChatGPT. So that's cool. And then data controls, improve the model for everyone. I have this off Just it kind of minimizes the data that I'm exchanging with ChatGPT. And then you'd have a bunch of all of this stuff. And really, you could wipe out all the chats that you don't need anymore if you don't have any of this stuff set up already. And then security and account settings, very straightforward in there. So that's kind of how we want to set it up. We want to get rid of a lot of that memory, and being able to use it successfully moving forward. So the basically what we're going to be able to build is kind of all of these things. So LinkedIn newsletter expert, Facebook threads expert, listing copy expert, buyer drip campaign expert. These are the things that we want to focus on because it's going to improve our organization. So really, when you create these projects, it's going to be able to keep the instructions, the uploads, the memories scoped inside that project, so the styles don't contaminate each other like I talked about earlier. We don't want to overlap these things to where they're bleeding into each other and then getting that AI output slop. So it allows us to kind of start with those things. So we're going to be able to create new projects based off of those things. And as you could see inside my ChatGPT with the projects, I've created the building blocks one, which is what this is going to focus on. And so this allows you to build out all of these things that you can then go into ChatGPT and activate. And we'll dive into to how we create each one of those chats and then save it into a project when we get into kind of creating that stuff. So the RAG is kind of the most important part. So where's my screen? There we go. RAG is the kind of foundation for it. So we're going to kind of use the working chat to build those RAG memories that we're going to access. And so when we build out those chats, we're going to specifically tell it to let us activate this using activate and then the name of the chat. So this is going to allow for our quality checks, that kind of stuff. It's pulling all the rules from those projects. Then it generates the output, and then QC check comes in at the end, which is our step one. We're going to create the QC. It allows us to then check to make sure that there is no, it's going to try to eliminate the M dashes, all of the fancy AI language that you hear over and over again. You can put into your QC check specifically what you don't want it to output. So I had a conversation with somebody this week. Oftentimes you're not going to see, like, when someone's actually writing something, you're not going to see the phrase hits different. And when you see that phrase on social media, it's amazing because that was something that people were saying out loud, but not really incorporating into their writing until ChatGPT came out and became more prevalent. Now ChatGPT puts it into almost everything because it's showing, dynamic and counterintuitiveness and all the things that AI tries to be that really it can't be until we set it up properly. So using like I said, using individual chats, we can get super messy and cluttered inside a single chat. But if we're able to organize the projects and the building blocks, we get to keep these things inside neat folders. It keeps it clean, it keeps it straightforward, and then you know what outputs you're going to get. And so we're able to then build bots for the future stuff. I've got bots that will build blog posts for me. I've got SEO bots for my YouTube videos. Where I can just upload a transcript and it creates it. And you don't have to do these as outward GPTs. You can actually do them as individual conversations that you just then activate. We use Go High Level as our CRM. I use a bot that I've trained with all of the, basically gave it the website of the Go High Level support system. And now I'm able to say, activate the Go High Level Pro, and then it knows all of that information and then uses that website as its only source of information instead of trying to find things. A lot of times there was a study done recently that talks about ChatGPT using different sources throughout the internet. And it ends up being that they end up with like 65% of their sourcing comes from Reddit because it's so readily available and it's such a popular website. So obviously Reddit gets a bunch of hits. It pushes all of those postings to the top of searches. And then ChatGPT is now pulling a ton of information from Reddit, which is generally inactive or inaccurate for you. We don't want that to happen. So we want to try to keep these organized as much as possible. So allows us to be clean long-term. It allows us to create projects, listings, socials, that kind of stuff. Installing building blocks, the QC, your own voice. Then we're going to run a test on it. And we're going to save one result. So basically, I would just kind of want to walk you through how we've built step one, which is the QC. Generally, this is, it's basically a one prompt entry point that we build out to be able to call it on to the next chat that we're going to create. So step one is our QC bot here. So as you can see, I've kind of gone through quite a bit of back and forth with this bot, and it's creating a bunch of different things. But this is the one that I'm going to copy and paste for you. I'll get this to you after the class, but you're able to use this summary. We're going to name it building block or BB-step one. Just shows that, basically it's putting in quality control for deep thinking. So it allows you to, we don't want M dashes. We don't want emojis unless we ask for them. We want to keep the copy human, clear, and conversational. We want to scrub our patterns that could trigger AI detectors. And it's really fun because I've gotten to a point now with some of these bots that utilizing ChatGPT, I can actually create scripted and written content that I can put into a separate AI detector, and it's coming back as 0% probability of being AI. And so we can use AI to kind of beat AI and allow us to create a ton of content in the meantime. So step one is this building block. So I'll give you this prompt, like I mentioned afterwards. Being able to customize this a little bit. So obviously, we talked at Dwell Mortgage. So I had gotten this some of this prompt from somebody else. So there's some stuff in here that we need to like refine to our own selves. So copying and pasting it directly into it doesn't necessarily work for you. You got to make sure that you're going in and kind of editing some of the stuff that you want and editing it to be your specific company and your brand. So I can give you the prompt, but make sure that you're going through it and double checking what you actually want, because maybe you are somebody that writes with emojis all the time. Well, then you don't want to ask it to not have emojis. You're able to kind of tell it not to, or to not tell it not to put emojis in there. That was a double negative roundabout way. But it basically allows you to create guidelines and guardrails for your upcoming chats and be able to activate it at any time. So I'll get you that prompt after we start or after we finish here. But I want to do, I want to jump into the sorry, just derailed. I do want to jump into the Q&A session. And so I do see a couple of questions in here. So RAG stands for retrieval augmented generation. And so what that does is it's, that's why I just say RAG, because it's a mouthful. But it allows you to call on memory. So basically it's a memory function of ChatGPT. You're able to store it as a memory function that you can pull into a new chat. So you can retrieve it and pull it into a new chat. So you're not having to recreate every single prompt every single time, right? So ChatGPT at its core, prompting is at its core of being able to utilize it successfully. You want to make sure that you are not allowing for leakage and bleeding out of your chats into other chats. It just turns into kind of a mess if you have to use it every time. It also eats into that short-term memory that we talked about up front with the differences in the Pro or the Plus accounts. So I'll leave it here for if anybody's got any questions on this. There will be kind of a summary sent out of what we talked about to be able to put that into play for you. And then I will get you a copy of the exact prompt that you can start with and kind of build off of. One of the things I do like to mention is when you're building this step one out, make sure that at the end of the prompt that I'm going to give you, you're going to want to put ask clarifying questions, don't assume anything. And why I say that is because then it will ask you questions about what rules you actually want in play. And it might not be something that you're thinking about. It might not be something that we covered here. It's just going to allow you to like really customize that. Zach, we're going to be covering step two tomorrow. So yes, on this one, step two, this is building your voice out. So step one is really just that basic part of like getting it to respond effectively instead of accessing all of your old chats and memories and stuff. Step two, we actually build your voice out, and that'll be your homework tomorrow is to be able to build the voice out. So we'll be covering that tomorrow. All right, so I'll leave it open for another minute here and see if we got any questions that came across. All right. Sounds like we don't have anything. Maybe I'm just background noise, but that's okay. Appreciate it, Brandon. And I'm sure we will see you all back tomorrow. So, like I said, I'll get you out the summary of today's class, and then the link will come to you tomorrow again in an email before the class. If you've got any questions directly for me, feel free to reach out. We'll definitely get what we can back to you, and I'll get the summary and the step one prompt out to you shortly. So, talk to you soon.